The footage shows three workers supervising machinery, likely a conveyor or rolling mechanism. One worker, positioned dangerously close to the operational moving components, is suddenly caught and entangled in the rotating roller or shaft. The remaining two workers immediately exhibit distress and quickly rush to engage the emergency stop mechanism to rescue their colleague. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with unguarded moving parts. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, fully secured machine guarding on all rotating equipment, strict enforcement of safe distance protocols, never leaning or standing too close, and prohibiting loose clothing or jewelry near operational machinery to prevent catastrophic entrapment. The footage shows a worker operating a forklift to relocate cargo. Due to the operator raising the load excessively high during travel, the lift experiences a loss of stability and balance. Consequently, the heavy cargo unexpectedly pitches backward and collapses, falling forcefully and striking the driver within the cabin. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm resulting from improper load handling and excessive lifting height while moving. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory training on safe travel heights, keeping loads low and tilted back, strict adherence to speed limits during cargo movement, and the importance of operator awareness of load center of gravity to prevent catastrophic accidents. The video captures a severe and abrupt industrial safety incident. The footage shows a worker positioned near high-speed rotating machinery, such as a lathe, grinder, or centrifuge. Without warning, the machine experiences a catastrophic failure and explodes outward, violently propelling debris and forcibly ejecting the worker away from the immediate area. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with component failure in high-velocity equipment. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, rigorous preventative maintenance and stress testing for high-speed machinery, ensuring all guarding is robust and intact, and maintaining a safe standoff distance from all rotating equipment to prevent catastrophic failures and physical impact. The footage shows a worker walking and standing near a critical blind spot in the area. Simultaneously, a forklift operator is moving a load of cargo that obstructs their forward view, creating a severely restricted sight line. Due to this obstructed vision, the forklift makes contact with the pedestrian, forcibly knocking the worker away from the vehicle's path. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with blind spots and shared vehicle, pedestrian zones. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory clear pedestrian walkways, strict enforcement of speed limits and horn use at intersections, and operators being required to move loads backward, trialing, when the cargo obstructs forward visibility to prevent collisions. The footage shows a man standing precariously on the forks of a forklift, attempting to reach the bed of a delivery truck. Without warning, the forklift operator abruptly backs the vehicle away from the truck, leaving the individual suspended without support or footing. Consequently, the worker loses balance and falls from a significant height onto the ground. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with falls from elevation and the misuse of heavy equipment. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory prohibition against lifting personnel with standard forklift tines, requiring approved, secured work platforms or aerial lifts for tasks at height, and ensuring clear, consistent communication between all workers during lifting operations to prevent catastrophic accidents. The footage shows a forklift operator moving cargo who proceeds to aggressively reverse the vehicle without visually checking the rear or surrounding area. Due to this critical lapse in situational awareness, the reversing forklift collides with and strikes workers standing directly in its path. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with vehicle operation in shared workspace zones, particularly when reversing. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, strictly enforced safety protocols for reversing forklifts. For example, stopping, looking, honking, ensuring clear visibility to the rear at all times, and establishing clear separation between pedestrian walkways and vehicular travel paths to prevent catastrophic collisions. The footage shows an excavator maneuvering across uneven terrain, likely attempting to cross a soft or deeply rutted area, while a worker stands below to guide the movement. Suddenly, the excavator loses stability, causing its tracks to sink into a depression, which results in the heavy boom and bucket swinging uncontrollably and striking the ground worker positioned nearby. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with operating heavy equipment on unstable ground and working too close to the machine's swing radius. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory pre-site assessment for ground stability, strict enforcement of exclusion zones around operating heavy equipment, and requiring spotters to maintain a safe, clear distance from the boom's potential arc to prevent physical impact accidents. The footage shows a forklift maneuvering through a narrow aisle while transporting goods. Due to the confined space, the forklift inadvertently strikes or impacts the structural supports of the tall storage racks. The collision immediately destabilizes the heavily loaded racks, causing the entire high bay shelving system to completely collapse and cascade down, burying both the forklift and the operator under tons of merchandise and debris. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with inadequate aisle width, reckless operation near storage systems, and the failure of racking structures. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory aisle clearance protocols, strict speed limits for lift trucks, and regular structural inspections of all pallet racking systems to prevent catastrophic collapse and entrapment. The footage shows a motorcycle rider failing to observe a large truck that is stopped or slowing down with its tailgate or rear lift platform being lowered across the road. The rider proceeds directly toward the truck without braking or swerving, colliding forcefully with the partially or fully lowered platform, causing the rider to immediately lose control and fall upon impact. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with distracted driving and failing to account for stationary or maneuvering heavy vehicles. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory situational awareness for all drivers, maintaining a safe following distance, and always scanning the road ahead for obstacles, especially when approaching trucks and loading zones, to prevent catastrophic frontal impacts. The footage shows a group of workers walking in the yard while a forklift operator is moving a large load of cargo that completely obstructs their forward view. Due to this severe visual obstruction, the forklift fails to see the pedestrian worker moving directly in front of the vehicle and collides forcefully with the walking worker. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with operating equipment with restricted visibility and shared pedestrian vehicle pathways. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory clear pedestrian separation and designated walkways, strict enforcement of operating guidelines, and using audible warnings, horns, constantly when visibility is impaired to prevent catastrophic workplace collisions. The footage shows a team of workers operating on an upper level while a heavy metal container is being lifted and moved by a crane overhead. Suddenly, the crane cable or sling snaps, causing the massive load to fall rapidly and forcefully onto the structure below, severely impacting a worker who was positioned in the immediate danger zone beneath the path of the falling object. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with overhead dropped loads and equipment failure. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, rigorous pre-use inspection of all lifting gear. Cables, slings, hooks, strict enforcement of exclusion zones, never standing or working beneath a suspended load, and regular maintenance schedules for all crane and hoisting mechanisms to prevent catastrophic consequences. The video documents a severe maintenance failure where two workers were servicing a large, suspended metal bin. A critical error occurred when one worker was inside the bin and the improperly secured rigging failed. This caused the heavy container to immediately collapse and strike one of the nearby men. This incident demonstrates the extreme risk of severe physical harm from working on or near unsecured loads and highlights the mandatory necessity of certified inspection of all rigging points, prohibiting personnel from entering suspended structures and strictly following safety protocols before and during maintenance work. The video captures a sudden and severe safety incident at an active construction site. The footage shows workers gathered on the ground level when, without warning, a large metal panel or sheet falls from an elevated position, striking a worker who was standing directly beneath the fall path. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with uncontrolled, dropped objects. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory tool and material control procedures on upper levels, strict enforcement of clear exclusion zones, no-go areas, beneath all overhead work, and requiring all personnel to wear hard hats at all times to prevent catastrophic consequences from falling debris. The footage shows a worker opening the rear door of a truck or trailer to begin offloading. Crucially, the worker fails to check or secure the load inside before opening the door. Immediately upon opening, a heavy piece of cargo, which was unsecured, rolls or slides out violently, striking the worker and causing him to fall forcefully to the ground. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with unsecured loads and unsafe unloading procedures. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory load inspection and securing protocols before travel. Always checking for shifting or unstable cargo behind doors before opening, and maintaining a safe standoff position when initially opening doors on loaded trailers to prevent catastrophic impact from falling objects. The footage shows a woman sitting or positioned near a work area where a bucket containing hot liquid, likely water, is present. Suddenly, an unsecured metal object rolls or slides and strikes the bucket, causing the hot contents to spill directly onto the woman's legs. The incident was exacerbated by her sitting too close to the active work zone being utilized by the crew. This footage highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with uncontrolled debris and hot materials. This serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory clear separation between resting areas and active construction, maintenance zones, securing all materials that could roll or fall, and ensuring extreme caution when handling or storing hot liquids near personnel to prevent catastrophic burn and contact injuries. The footage shows a forklift transporting a tall, unstable stack of metal frames or racks. As the operator moves the load past an area where two workers are resting or taking a break, the high-stacked cargo suddenly shifts and collapses violently from the forks, slamming directly into the position where the two workers were sitting. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with unsecured and excessively tall loads. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory load securing protocols, for example, shrink wrapping, proper stacking, strict limits on safe travel height for stability, and enforcing absolute separation between active vehicular travel paths and designated worker rest areas to prevent catastrophic impact accidents. The footage shows a forklift operator maneuvering a load of cargo that was improperly secured. As the load begins to tilt precariously, the operator leaves the safety of the driver's cab in an attempt to manually stabilize the heavy items. Due to the weight and instability, the entire load immediately collapses, striking the worker who was positioned too close to the falling material. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with insecure loads and the dangerous practice of leaving the cab to intervene manually. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory load inspection and securement before travel, staying fully contained within the forklift cab with the seatbelt fastened during any operational failure, and never attempting to manually hold back a collapsing load to prevent catastrophic impact and crushing accidents. The footage shows two workers operating a crane to lift materials. As they raise the lifting hook, the suspension cable suddenly snaps, causing the heavy crane hook assembly to plummet downward. One worker manages to retreat quickly and avoid impact, but the crane operator, unfortunately, is struck directly by the falling hook assembly, which causes him to be forcibly ejected from the crane's machinery to the ground below. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with equipment failure in overhead lifting. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, rigorous pre-use inspection of all lifting cables and rigging, strict enforcement of clear exclusion zones around crane operation areas, and regular maintenance and stress testing of all hoisting components to prevent catastrophic dropped loads and impact accidents. The footage shows a forklift operator maneuvering cargo while a pedestrian worker is walking nearby. Because the load of cargo obstructs the driver's forward visibility, the operator fails to see the walking worker, resulting in a direct collision with the pedestrian. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with restricted operator sightlines and shared vehicle, pedestrian zones. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory clear pedestrian separation and designated walkways, strict enforcement of operating guidelines, for example, trailing the load, driving backward when the view is blocked, and using audible warnings, horns, consistently when visibility is impaired to prevent catastrophic workplace collisions. The footage shows a forklift operator attempting to raise cargo to an elevated position, such as a rooftop or upper floor. Because the load was not properly secured or positioned, it tilts severely and falls forcefully from the forklift's tines, striking a worker positioned below or nearby. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with hoisting unstable loads to height and working in the fall zone. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory securement protocols for all lifted materials, strict prohibition against standing in the potential fall zone of elevated loads, and using only designated, approved lifting platforms when raising materials to height to prevent catastrophic impact accidents. The video documents a severe loading accident where two workers were preparing to offload heavy metal beams. In a critical violation, one worker entered the unstable load area to secure the rigging. The lifting cable immediately failed, causing the heavy beams to collapse and strike the worker positioned in the fall zone. This demonstrates the extreme risk of severe physical harm from improper rigging and being near an unstable load. This footage emphasizes the mandatory necessity of inspecting all lifting gear and strictly adhering to exclusion zones, never working beneath or within a load during hoisting operations. The footage shows a group of workers using a crane to lift and transfer large steel beams. Critically, one worker attempts to walk or climb through the area directly beneath the suspended load to cross to the other side. During this risky maneuver, the lifting cable or sling suddenly fails, causing the heavy steel beams to plummet down and forcefully strike the worker who was directly in the fall zone. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with equipment failure and violating safety protocols. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory, rigorous inspection of all lifting gear, strict enforcement of clear exclusion zones, and never using shortcuts that involve entering the path of heavy, moving equipment to prevent catastrophic impact and crushing accidents. The footage shows a group of workers attempting to use an extension ladder to access an elevated area for repairs. Critically, the ladder was not properly secured or stabilized at its base or top, causing it to suddenly shift, lose support, and violently collapse. The falling ladder structure strikes a worker who was positioned nearby on the ground or attempting to climb. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with unsecured equipment and falls. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory three-point contact while climbing, strict protocols for securing the ladder base, tying off, or footing, ensuring the ladder is placed on a stable, level surface, and always maintaining clear exclusion zones around the base of any elevated ladder work to prevent collapse and impact injuries. The video captures a severe electrical incident in a work area plagued by poor housekeeping, with power cords scattered on the ground. A worker attempts to disconnect a wire and inadvertently contacts an energized circuit, causing an electric current to pass through him and resulting in immediate loss of control. This demonstrates the extreme risk of severe physical harm from electrical hazards compounded by workplace clutter. This footage emphasizes the mandatory necessity of maintaining clear pathways, strictly adhering to safe electrical procedures, and always disconnecting power at the source before handling wires to prevent electrocution injuries. The footage shows a worker operating a crane to move a large panel or sheet into position against a wall for securement. Due to a malfunction or fault in the lifting cable, rigging, the panel suddenly loses its vertical support and collapses forward, striking the worker forcefully as he stands in the immediate path of the falling object. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with equipment failure in lifting operations and improper positioning relative to the load. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory pre-use inspection of all crane cables and rigging, maintaining a safe standoff distance from the load during positioning, and strictly enforcing clear exclusion zones for any personnel working near heavy, suspended, or unstable materials to prevent catastrophic impact accidents. The video captures a catastrophic safety failure where workers failed to secure a crane lifting zone. The suspension cable suddenly snaps, causing the heavy materials to plummet and forcefully strike an unobservant worker standing directly beneath the fall path. This demonstrates the extreme risk of severe physical harm from equipment failure and protocol violations. This footage emphasizes the mandatory necessity of rigorous inspection of all lifting gear, strict enforcement of clear exclusion zones, never standing beneath a suspended load, and requiring all personnel to maintain situational awareness at the construction site. The footage shows a group of workers attempting to secure or release tension on a load of metal beams or rods from a flatbed truck. Due to a lack of proper securing procedures or misjudgment of stored energy, the restraint or tensioned mechanism suddenly and violently releases, snaps, or flies open. The force of the release strikes the worker standing on the truck bed, forcefully ejecting him from the vehicle onto the ground below. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with uncontrolled stored energy and unstable loads. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory training on safe load securement and release procedures, always maintaining a safe distance and positioning away from the path of potential violent release, and using long-handled tools or remote release methods when dealing with highly tensioned materials to prevent catastrophic impact and fall injuries. A crew was offloading freight from a truck using a manual pallet jack onto the hydraulic liftgate. As the cargo was positioned for descent, the liftgate operator lost control, causing the platform to jerk violently. This sudden, uncontrolled motion immediately destabilized the cargo stack, leading to an instantaneous collapse that completely enveloped the worker standing directly in the fall zone. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with improper liftgate operation and working in the fall path of unstable loads. This footage emphasizes the necessity of mandatory training on smooth and controlled liftgate operation, ensuring all cargo is stable and properly secured before movement, and strictly enforcing exclusion zones to keep personnel out of the potential path of collapsing materials. The footage shows vehicle traffic moving through a congested urban area. A pedestrian attempts to cross the street without maintaining adequate situational awareness or checking for approaching vehicles. Simultaneously, a bus executes a right turn, but the driver's view is obstructed by other objects or traffic, preventing the driver from seeing the person walking. The result is a severe impact between the turning bus and the pedestrian in the middle of the street. This incident highlights an immediate and extreme risk of severe physical harm associated with poor pedestrian vigilance and driver blind spots. This footage serves as a vital safety warning, emphasizing the necessity of mandatory pedestrian vigilance, requiring drivers to execute wide turns slowly and check all mirrors, blind spots thoroughly, and never assuming right of way when navigating busy urban intersections to prevent catastrophic collisions. The video captures a severe accident where a loader was improperly used to elevate a worker for utility repair. The operator lost control, causing the machine to accelerate down the road and violently collide with the utility pole, shearing it off before the loader itself tipped and overturned. This demonstrates the extreme risk of severe physical harm from using heavy equipment as an improvised platform and losing vehicle control. This footage emphasizes the mandatory use of approved aerial lifts for elevated work and never utilizing loaders as temporary personnel platforms to prevent catastrophic structural damage and overturns.